Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome to the Piper Report. Today, I'm going to upload the first installment of the Weekly Crap Recap, which is essentially a broad overview of the idiots of the week, or sad news stories of the week of idiots who have done horrible, retarded things, or just pointless and irrelevant things. It could be anything, just go with it. Before I begin, I want to say that I actually did do this yesterday, and I uploaded it yesterday, but due to some technical difficulties on my end, the upload was pure crap, no pun intended, and I had to delete it right away because it was literally unwatchable. So I will try this again now. Hopefully it goes good. I will stop after the first article. This doesn't really concern you. You'll just see the computer screen glitch temporarily because I want to make sure the microphone and everything is working fine. So, let's begin. First article, she's back. Hillary Clinton's last 100 days. So NBC News, the sister company of MSNBC, cannot get enough of their chosen candidate, Hillary Clinton, even though she lost the election. Now, for those who don't know, if you listen to the media, or if you listen to Hillary Clinton herself, the reason she lost was due to white racism and misogyny for the first woman candidate. Ignore the fact that more white women voted for Trump over Hillary because that's irrelevant to the overall narrative. The narrative being that it was racism and hatred of women that caused someone like Donald Trump to win. So NBC, because they care about Hillary so much, decided to do a little overview of her first 100 days. Here we go. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton planned an aggressive push on a dozen policies for her first 100 days in the White House, including raising the minimum wage, investing in infrastructure, and reforming the nation's immigration system. Okay, first off, I doubt the Republicans would have let any of that happen. Just like Trump is constantly being opposed by Democrats in Congress, if she wanted to drastically change the, for instance, immigration system, Republicans won't go along. And it's sad reality, and I don't condone it, but that's the fact. That is the world we live in. That there is so much political polarization that it doesn't really matter who becomes president because we need a new Congress. Hence, we need term limits. Or, well, I won't get into it. Moving on. But following her stunning Electoral College defeat, oh God, I forgot about this line. All right. But following her stunning Electoral College defeat, instead of saying, but following her defeat on November 8th, or following her presidential loss on November 8th, they have to really clarify how she lost. She lost by the Electoral College. That's the only reason why she lost. That and misogyny and racism. Because when it comes down to it, in their eyes, and Hillary's eyes, and the regressive attitude, is that Hillary should be president because she actually won the election. Although they neglect to realize, or they choose to ignore, that the reason she won was because of California. California should not be able to dictate who becomes president. We also know that there was electoral fraud this year. James O'Keefe's Project Veritas videos showed that there were Democratic people that worked for super PACs related to the Clinton campaign who actually had people, they put people on buses to different precincts to vote more than once. And that's just not the main one. We have also Chelsea Smith in Broward County in Florida, who went to court with affidavit actually, and described how the precinct she worked for was engaged in election fraud. Then we also know in Texas, voting machines, when people would vote for Trump, they'd come out as Hillary. We had more than one person say this is what happened when they voted for Trump. But the other Republicans on the ticket remain the same. Now, I'm sure we can also reasonably conclude that in California, there was also election fraud. I'm not saying it is as large as what Trump says, 4 million people, but to those who think there was an impact on election fraud, by election fraud, or for those who think there actually was no election fraud, are clearly mistaken. It also should be noted that George Soros, the machines used in 16 states were produced by companies affiliated with George Soros. And George Soros is the king of globalism, King being a derogatory name because he's a piece of shit. But moving on. That's a funny line. And the prospect of a wildly different presidency than the one she had promised. After conceding to Donald Trump in a gracious speech, yes, it was truly gracious. We have to make sure that everyone reading this article understands that she was gracious about it, even though she neglected to do a concession speech that same night, and she sent out her campaign manager an act unprecedented. But she and a neighbor in New York, who said she was heartbroken after the election, had the same idea on November 10th. A restorative hike in the Chapakawaka woods. The resulting photo made headlines and offered her steel-willing supporters a glimpse of how Hillary Clinton was coping. To her millions of voters, viral images of her participating in the rituals of normal life, more hikes, trips to the grocery and the bookstore, became a sign of resilience. What a brave, brave woman. Let's move on a little bit to the actual narration of her glorious first 100 days. Day 1. Attending the inauguration. Clinton attended the inauguration alongside husband and former President Bill Clinton, as well as a luncheon where President Trump picked them both out of a crowd. She wore white, the symbolic color of women's suffrage. Yes, Hillary does care about women. She cares about women so much that she was willing to ignore all the women that Bill Clinton raped and sexually abused. So she does care about women, just not all women. She only cares about those women who benefit her in the long run. Day 13. Plotting her next move in New York City. Oh, God. Clinton signed a book deal with Simon & Schuster for her 7th book on February 1st. That night, she and her husband attended the Broadway a cappella musical in transit, a bit of a Valentine to the city she represented in the Senate. Appealing to young women. Day 19. Despite all the challenges we face, I remain convinced that yes, the future is female. The present is female. The inherent sexism you believe exists is built on a foundation that is false, that is wrongly construed. And I'm talking, of course, about the wage gap between men and women, which is based on an algorithm that is faulty because it doesn't take into account the choices that the women and men make. It doesn't take into account the types of professions that women and men make. So there is no war on women as she is. The future will be women, just like it will be men, just like the present is men, just like the present is women. The past may not have been women, but the present sure is. Should also be noted, if we were to use the same calculation to determine the wage gap, the Clinton Foundation pays its women less than its men. Moving on. Day 20. Sticking up for Elizabeth Warren. After Majority Leader Mitch McConnell blocked Warren from speaking in opposition to Trump's pick for Attorney General, Clinton embraced his inadvertent feminist rallying cry. She was warned. She was given an explanation. Nevertheless, she persisted. So must we all, Clinton tweeted. Yes, because you are backing up a fraud. For those who don't think Senator Elizabeth Warren is a fraud, let me tell you a quick story. So Elizabeth Warren, when she worked for Harvard, on her application, she put her ethnicity as Native American. Well, 2 Cherokee women from, I believe it was Northeast Canada, it was up in the north, came down to compare their DNA with Elizabeth Warren's DNA. Because what would happen is that the DNA would be able to indicate similar mitochondrial aspects of their DNA together. And they would be able to properly determine if she did or did not actually have Cherokee blood in her. Well, Elizabeth Warren denied the blood test, she denied the DNA test, and then not too long after, she changed her ethnicity from Native American to white. Now, if that doesn't constitute fraud, I really don't know what is. And yet people think she's an honest person with integrity and that she's a hero, which is just a joke. Day 21 and beyond, resisting in 140 characters or less. Clinton embraced Trump's favorite social media platform on February 9th. Hey, that's my birthday. Tweeting, 3-0 after 3 judges unanimously halted Trump's ban on entry of residents from certain Muslim-majority nations. Okay, we all know that Trump did nothing wrong there. That the judges, especially the 9th District, the federal judges, who most of them are appointed from Obama because Harry Reid used a nuclear option to get them elected onto the federal judgeship with no resistance from Republicans or anyone else in Congress, they are acting like an oligarchy. They are destroying the separation of powers. They are destroying the 3 branches of government, all because they don't like Trump. Because if they can give the illusion that Trump is a failed president, then come midterms and come 2020, they think Trump will be out of office and the Republicans will be losing and the Democrats will get their country back. That's all there is. That's all there is. I did a video the other day about the most recent judge, Judge Orwick, who was the one who gave an order that Trump's blocking funds of sanctuary cities in San Francisco is unconstitutional. Well, his background shows he has close ties with not only John Kerry, but Obama. Makes you wonder. Moving on. Day 27, dining with her Saturday Night Live impersonator. The same day, I don't care about that one. Day 42, speaking to students. Day 43, reading some interesting news. A picture of Clinton eyeing a headline on Vice President Mike Pence's use of private email account while serving as Indiana's governor went viral. Pence and Trump had repeatedly attacked Clinton for her use of a private email server when she was Secretary of State. Come on, MSNBC, or NBC, whatever you want to call yourself. You're really going to write that kind of statement, but you're not going to clarify that what Pence did actually wasn't against federal code, and Pence didn't have a private email server in his basement. He used a personal email account, which was nothing illegal in the state of Indiana. Seriously? You're going to try to defend Hillary Clinton by using omittance? It doesn't work that way. Day 47, 48, and 57, speaking to more women's groups. Yes, of course, because she has to persuade herself that she still matters and that women still believe that she's a good person. Day 55, still fielding calls to run for New York City mayor. You know, you should run for California mayor because I think they would fit you a lot better. I don't know anything about New York City. I don't care to know anything about New York City. But as long as she's not in the spotlight where I have to hear that annoying shrill of hers, I really don't give a shit where she works or what she does. Day 62 gets her own whiskey vintage. Ah yes, the Rodham Rye. Apparently, people have to be drunk to be able to actually listen to her without pulling out their hair. So to compensate for this, they decided to create whiskey after her. They are very, very kind to us poor folk that have to listen to her every day. Defending the women who confront Trump, day 68. Too bad she didn't do that with her husband, back in the day. Day 78, talking about why she lost. As a person, I'm okay. As an American, I'm pretty worried, Clinton said early April during what was billed as her first public interview since her electoral college defeat, her president defeat. The typical careful speaker was blunt in her assessment of her lost election. Certainly, misogyny played a role, she told Christoph. Oh my God. See, Hillary, let me tell you a secret. The reason you lost wasn't because you're a woman. It wasn't because men hate women or women hate women. It was because you are a liar. Because you are a cheat. Because you do nothing but bullshit your way through life. You are terrible to women. You pay your women less than men. If we want to use the same calculation that you support, you pay them less than men. You defended Bill Clinton and called his accusers as nothing but publicity hounds that are full of crap. You are a hypocrite, and people saw through that, and that is why you lost. Day 81, modeling shoes for Katy Perry. Yes, Katy Perry, who after the election went on her Twitter feed and called for a revolution. I think that's a breaking a law, maybe disturbing the peace or something like that, or inciting a riot. I could be wrong though. Day 83, easing back into the political arena. Day 87, boosting the DNC. Now this is true. She has to do this because it was the DNC who screwed over Bernie Sanders so they could get her to the forefront so she could do their business. If you collude with someone, you better have their back because they could probably destroy you because just like you know their secrets, they probably know your secrets. Alright, YouTube. I had to stop the recording and make sure everything was sounding right, and it was. So I think I can just plow through now without having to stop the recording anymore. So let's move on to the second article. The Senate Intel chair says U.S. is in a new Cold War with Russia. Initially, when I read this title, I think, oh shit, the neocons have won. So let's see who this guy is. Let's see if maybe he's a neocon. CNN Republican Senator Richard Burr. I was so hoping it was a Democrat. Richard Burr, who chairs the Senate Intelligence Committee, said in an interview last week that the United States is in a new Cold War with Russia. No, we're not in a new Cold War. You want us to be in a Cold War because when it comes down to it, neocons want perennial war. They want to perpetuate influence through the military-industrial complex because those same people use special interests to fund your campaign. It's dark money, all at the guise of justice over the world. But really, it's not justice, but instead it's military police. It's the world police. It is neoconservatism. It is regime change. It is insert label here that dictates how the U.S. should not be, or pretends to be, a global power that will influence every other nation on Earth by making them follow our strict guidelines. The North Carolina senator made the comments during an interview on North Carolina public television station, blah, 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 blah. Asked if the U.S. is in a new Cold War with Russia, Burr answered, "We are. It mirrors very much what we saw in the 1980s, except for the fact that Russia, just like China, has used technology to leverage what they can do offensively in a way that even the U.S. hadn't leveraged. We have a very antiquated procurement process in the military. They have bypassed that, and they've truly taken this birth of technology and they've incorporated it in their offensive R&D weaponry." Okay, let's dissect this. First off, everything you are accusing Russia of doing, we, the U.S., also do. China also does. So if you want to go in a new Cold War because Russia is doing something that we do every single minute of every single day, then does that mean that we are in war with countries all over the world? Should China view us as a mortal enemy who is in a new Cold War with us? Scroll down a little bit. Oh, maybe that's it. Burr noted that his committee was looking into possible cooperation and interaction between Russia and the Trump campaign and added that Russia was involved in spreading fake news during the election. So was CNN. So was Fox News. So was MSNBC. So was the U.S. influencing the French election. So was Obama spying and hacking on the German chancellor, on the French president, and people like that, as Eric Snowden told us. So Russia must be really evil to do stuff that we do every day. But if Russia is evil, then what does that make the U.S.? Tell us, neocon, what's your name, Richard Burr? Moving on. Elizabeth Warren gives Trump's 100 days an F. Uh-oh. This should be interesting. The Massachusetts Democrat, progressive, not Democrat, progressive, gave the president an F for not living up to his campaign promises to help America's working people. Elizabeth Warren on Monday blasted President Trump on his first 100 days performance since taking office. The Massachusetts Democrat gave the president an F for not living up to his campaign promises to help Americans' working people. He's a man who ran for office promising he was going to be there to help working people. That was going to be his number 1, number 2, number 10 goal, right all the way through. Okay, well, Pocahontas or the fraud, whatever you go by these days, let's do some reality checks here, okay? First and foremost, he's been in office 3 months. Second, I think people would disagree with you when you say he hasn't done anything for the American people. And why do I say this? Because by deregulating these horrible burdens you put on companies, you being the Democratic Party, the Progressive Party, and Obama, that actually inhibits job growth. That inhibits the growth of the economy. So yes, maybe Donald Trump hasn't done anything right now to affect American people, but by deregulating regulations that don't need to be regulated, you can bet in the future you will see massive job growth, especially if the Democrats do not oppose him and he was able to reduce the corporate tax rate from 35 to 15. It should also be noted that he essentially ended the war on coal. So although Hillary didn't consider those coal people, and it doesn't look like you either, I think those people disagree with you. I think they think Trump has helped them. I think what you are basing your opinion on is nothing but supposition, instead of looking at what Trump has actually done. He has actually helped people. He's helping the economy. Here we go. So what has he done? First, he assembles a team of billionaires and bankers and hands the keys over to them. Says to Goldman Sachs, "You figure out how to deregulate the economy. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?" she exclaimed. Well, maybe Obama can tell him that when he does his Wall Street speeches with them. Or maybe Hillary might have done more about it either. You know, Hillary, the person you actually supported, even though she's the antithesis of everything you claim to be. Likewise, Bernie Sanders, who is also a hypocrite for supporting Hillary. Now, I know the argument from those on the left is, well, he had no choice. Bernie had to support Hillary, or else Trump was going to win. It was either Trump or Hillary. He had no choice. Well, first off, there is always a choice. And if you're able to easily contradict your own principles, then guess what? They aren't truly principles to begin with. Warren then criticized Trump's flurry of executive orders. He signs off on all these executive orders. He signed off on one that makes it easier for government contractors to cheat their employees out of their wages. He makes it easier for investment advisors to cheat retirees. Yeah, which ones exactly are that? Please tell us. Trump has signed more than 37 executive orders since January. No, because I was just on the website, the whitehouse.gov website, and he only signed 30 of them. And I know 37 isn't that much off from 30, but if you're going to spew news that people are going to willingly eat up, at least try to be more accurate, or else we can just term this as fake news as well. But the executive order that sums it all up for Warren is the issue of repealing and replacing Obamacare. The one that summarizes it was all Trump care. When he embraces this healthcare plan that says he's going to go all in, she said. Okay, I am no fan of that healthcare bill, which my videos have more than once stated. But let's be clear about something. Trump did not write the bill. I doubt Trump even cared about the bill. All he knew was that it was coming from the GOP, from congressional Republicans, who he needs to help get his legislation passed. So that's called negotiation. So he willingly acquiesced to what they wanted, and of course he's going to support it because it is the GOP and he ran as a Republican. So you can maybe blame Trump if you want, but to think that was actually his plan, no, it wasn't his plan. To be honest, Trump actually wants universal health care. He said that more than once. So, yeah, let's move on. What's next? Oh, here's a good one. From Vox. Obama's $400,000 Wall Street speaking fee will undermine everything he believes in. Okay. When you first read this article, you're like, wow, I cannot believe the regressive news outlet Vox is actually denigrating Obama right now, the way they are doing. Like, you truly believe that Vox is acting impartially here. It is actually doing unbiased journalism. Like, I'll read some of it, you'll be like, wow. But then you get to the whole, which you'll see what I'm talking about soon. Former President Obama's decision to accept $400,000 fee to speak at healthcare conference organized by the bond firm Cantor Fitzgerald is easily understood. That's so much cash for so little work that it would be extraordinarily difficult for anyone to turn it down. And the precedent established by former presidents Bill Clinton and George W., to say nothing of former Federal Reserve, pisses me off. of former Federal Reserve chairs Ben Bernanke and Alan Greenspan, and a slew of other high-ranking former officials, is that there is nothing wrong with taking the money. Indeed, to not take the money might be a problem for somebody in Obama's position. It would set a precedent. Obama would be suggesting that for an economically comfortable, high-ranking former government official to be out there doing paid speaking gigs would be corrupt, sleazy, or both. He'd be looking down his nose at other corrupt, sleazy, former high-ranking government officials and making enemies, which is exactly why he should have turned down the gig. Whoa, 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 whoa. Holy crap. I think you are starting to actually support what's right. Are you attacking Obama here? Oh, wait, what's this? The federal concept of Donald Trump's ethno... Oh, we were so close. We'll get to that soon. The election in France earlier this week shows that the triumph of populist demagogues, oh my god, is far from inevitable. But to beat it, mainstream politicians and institutions need to shape up. Not just with better policies, but with the kind of self-sacrificing spirit and moral leadership that successful movements require. Alright, where to begin on this? Let's be clear. Nationalism does not mean you are a bigot. Nationalism does not mean you are a demagogue. Nationalism is a form of patriotism. How far you take it is the aggregate used to measure what is demagoguery or not. And there's nothing about being proud of your country. There's nothing demagoguery about wanting to keep your citizens safe by refusing to allow Syrian refugees and other Islamic populations to migrate into your country. Germany has seen their crime rate increase 95.5% since the intake of Syrian refugees. France has seen over 238 people die from terrorist attacks since 2015. Sweden is now the rape culture of the world. Just because you want to prevent these types of acts, these types of atrocities from happening in your own country does not mean you are a bigot. Does not mean you are a demagogue. It means you care about yourself and you care about others, including your family members and fellow citizens. I know the regressive outlet Vox doesn't believe that, or they refuse to perceive that. But they are sadly mistaken. Mainstream leaders need to step up. The fundamental concept of Donald Trump's ethno-nationalist demagoguery, is that white middle-class Americans are locked in a zero-sum conflict with foreigners and ethnic minority groups. That's Marine Le Pen's message in France and Geert Wilders' message in the Netherlands, and it is ugly and false. A counter-proposal on the left is to reframe the populist theme and argue that middle-class Americans more generally are locked in a zero-sum conflict with rich people. Obama and other center-left... Obama is not center-left. Obama is nowhere near center of anything. Obama is a progressive. His own not lover, whatever. His own buddy, Van Jones, has even said he is progressive. Van Jones said he is a progressive, and he said Obama is a progressive on CNN. So you can actually go see that. Obama is nowhere near center-left at all. I think because they believe it is simplistic and wrong, but a crucial vulnerability of center-left politics around the world is that their sincere conviction, a faith in the positive sum nature of cosmopolitan values and appropriately regulated forms of global capitalism, tempered by a welfare state, is easily mistaken for corruption. No, not really. But when you start actually punishing those who don't deserve to be punished, that's when the corruption becomes clear. What I mean by that, let's say when you start accepting refugees and paying them entitlements to help them out, but at the same time being completely ignorant of the suffrage of your own citizens, then that's where it becomes corruption. And that's where it becomes that globalism does not actually help the domestic policies of your nation. The political right is supposed to be pro-business as a matter of ideological commitment. The progressive center, no, there's no progressive center, okay? The center is a center. Progressive is far, far from the center. is supposed to be empirically minded, challenging business interests where appropriate, but granting them free rein at other times. This approach has a lot of political and substantive merits, but okay, this is starting to get annoying here. Let's scroll down a little bit and see what else they got. Corruption is the progressive center's Achilles heel. Perhaps my wrongest take of the 2016 campaign was issued right before Election Day, when I acknowledged that in the abstract, Nate Silver was right that Hillary Clinton wasn't a lock in the Electoral College, but dismissed Donald Trump's chances anyway because of Obama's high approval ratings. Undecided voters would never break for Trump under those circumstances, I thought, since Obama and Clinton were so ideologically similar. Yes, you are actually correct. And that is why Trump won. I have always said that Obama's biggest failure as president would be if Donald Trump won the presidency. Because what that would do, that would solidify the notion that Obama was a terrible, failed president, and the public do not want his progressive policies being forced upon them. They do not want his warped view of a just world being forced upon them, where the cops are deemed as irrational, race-baiting killers, and those gangbangers who may have instituted and initiated the actual conflict with police are deemed heroes by their own communities. And then the fake news, like CNN, the regressive outlets, use that type of mentality to spread fear among the cultures to create a civil war between races and genders. It's that simple. Yeah, I'm kind of bored with this now. Let's move on. Oh, there's my girl. Oh, God, that's terrifying. She literally looks like she should be at the head of a donkey, like a centaur. Mentor. No, that sounds too cool. Watar? Buffalo? I don't know. This is good. Maxine Waters' campaign pays her daughter $750,000 to send mailers, slams Ivanka's unpaid job with dad. Congresswoman Maxine Waters slams President Trump for hiring his Wharton-educated daughter Ivanka as an unpaid assistant. Her own daughter has raked in more than $600,000 working for Maxine's campaign, which runs on public donations. Karen Waters has been on the payroll of her mother's campaign committee, Citizens for Waters. Since 2016, Karen oversees a gravy chain operation called Slate Mailers, also known as endorsement mailers. The Slate Mailer operation is a lucrative enterprise where an established politician like Maxine Waters gets paid to endorse a political candidate. Oh my God. Wow. She does look like she has a James Brown wig on. That's terrifying, but so incredibly accurate. FEC filings show that Maxine Waters is set to pay her daughter another $108,000 for her services. Once this payment is made, Karen will have hauled in $750,000 for running her mom's Slate Miller campaign since 2006. Congresswoman Waters has hypocritically trashed President Trump for being corrupt, while she has been using her political position to help her daughter and husband pocket hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years. Psychiatrists call this psychological projection. I totally agree with that assessment. She is a hypocrite. She is fake. She is responsible for the race baiting and the cultural civil war that we are actually a part of because of people like her with their racist agenda and with their bigotry. She gives all progressives a bad name. That's not hard to do, but she even gives them a bad name. And Democrats, I should say it. And yet people think she'd be a good president? Like, seriously? Despite 13 terms in Congress, Waters only recently gained a national profile after vowing to obstruct Trump and promising to impeach him. Yes, I am so glad, Miss Waters, you know actually how to work with people across the aisle, that you are not one-sided and irrational. Even though Waters' pal Nancy Pelosi conceded that the president has committed no impeachable offense. Maxine Waters' career highlights include being rated one of the most corrupt members of Congress in '05, '06, and '08 by the George Soros-funded liberal watchdog crew, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. Now that says a lot. If someone like George Soros, a globalist, who wants to destroy any kind of common sense in the world, any kind of centrist mentality, or even right-wing mentality, who wants to only distribute and expand the suffrage of people all over the world, if they can even coin and define Maxine Waters as one of the most corrupt members of Congress, I think that really says a lot. In 2008, Waters was charged with 3 counts of ethical violations after allegedly helping One United Bank secure $12 million in federal bailouts while hiding the fact that her husband owned stock in the bank. In February, a blithering Waters, 78, claimed Vladimir Putin had invaded Korea and she couldn't remember what Aleppo was. That's funny, because I have a video on my channel where she has that. Trump is bad because Putin is bad, and Putin invaded Korea, and yeah. All right, YouTube. So that's it. That is the Weekly Crap Recap, the first installment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any suggestions at all down below, and I will see you next week. And I'm done.